question. Do I can do the Chris Brown thing? Give me that. I don't know about the rest of that shit you're talking about. Man, what the fuck is going on here? Excuse my language. What are we doing here, guys? These people is whitewashing the American history.
What does this even mean?
It is evil.
What does this even mean?
An overemphasis on slavery. What the fuck do that even? What do that even mean? An overemphasis on slavery. This is bullcrap. Excuse me.
What does this even mean?
What? I guess y'all want to always be evil.
So I caught this interview with the special assistant to the president, Lindsay Holligan, I believe is her name. And it's gotten so bad with what's going on with the Smithsonian that even Fox News is giving pushback, right? They're like, hey, is this how we want to go about history? Do we want to start erasing history? You know, what is the president doing? And she goes on to say that, hey, you know what, we respect history, yada, yada, and that she went to the Smithsonian and there was an overemphasis on slavery.
Just about every other country in the world, the United States has got a checkered past.
Yeah, this is bullcrap. So you telling me the Trump administration is going around to museums looking for black history to take down? Harriet Tubman. Everybody know her, Underground Railroad. She's being taken out of museum because there's an overemphasis, whatever the fuck that means, on slavery. How do you have an overemphasis on slavery? Oh, we know it was bad, but we don't really want to keep talking about it. How do you know where you're going unless you know where you came from? What they say, if you don't know the history, you doomed to repeat the past. They don't care. They don't care. Black men bad. That's all they saying is black man bad. Listen to this bullshit.
What does this even mean? Oh my goodness. So I caught this interview with the special assistant to the president, Lindsay Holligan, I believe is her name. And it's gotten so bad with what's...
She's in the Trump White House, and she's talking about people are overemphasizing slavery, and this don't go.
Smithsonian, that even Fox News is giving pushback, right? They're like, hey, is this how we want to go about history? Do we want to start erasing history? You know, what is the president doing? And she goes on to say that, hey, you know what, we respect history, yada, yada, and that she went to the Smithsonian and there was an overemphasis on slavery.
Just about every other country in the world, the United States has got a checkered past. I mean, what should we do in terms of our museum? Should we ignore that? Should that be massaged in a certain way to make it less significant? I mean, some of the worst episodes in our history were formative experiences that led us to where we are today, and those typically are reflected in museums.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had our country
she don't even know what to
was
say.
Involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery.
So I heard what she said. I was just completely because I genuinely...
overemphasis on slavery. So will I be correct if I said there was an overemphasis about the Holocaust? Oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm gonna start saying it. Fuck it. If you can say there's an overemphasis on slavery, I can say there's an overemphasis on the Holocaust. Yeah, what? You don't want DeSantis in Florida. They already getting rid of Black history books. It's just fucked up. They just erasing everything. Listen. Now those Confederate statues. Do I agree with them? No. Do I believe that they should be in museums? Yes. I believe they should be in museums. Yeah, because I am. Yes, I am black. But like I'm not saying it. Listen, let me tell you something. I have mixed kids, guys. I am not that. My mother, when she raised me, and I stayed in California, and we, growing up in Texas, I live in Dallas. Mostly blacks, grew up around blacks. We moved to California. Mostly I grew up around whites and Chinese. She didn't say these are whites, these are Chinese. She said go out there and play, boy. I didn't know about racism until it came to my face. The name calling. So it's not me. They're saying it. Yeah, they're saying it. They're saying it's an overemphasis. I didn't say anything. I'm just wondering why you're trying to erase history that you don't like or you don't agree with. Let's get back to the video.
I don't know what that means. I've never heard the word overemphasis following any type of tragedy. I've never heard anyone say, hey, there's an overemphasis of 9/11. All right? I've never heard that. When we go to we have in Los Angeles something known as a Museum of Tolerance. I've never heard anyone describe the Museum of Tolerance as, hey, it's a good museum, but there's an overemphasis on the Holocaust. Have you ever heard an overemphasis on the Holocaust? An overemphasis on 9/11? Overemphasis on any
Yeah, they overemphasized 9/11. It wasn't that bad. The Holocaust wasn't that bad. It's just too much. It's just too much blackness. They're overemphasizing it. Why? Because MAGA means make. You know what make America great again means? I know the time. It was doing Jim Crow when a black man couldn't even look at a white man's eyes. That's what they want. But we're not having it. I'm not having it. I'm going to walk around freely like I've been walking around freely. You're not going to threaten me and my family with racism. So if they don't know the stories and they don't find it in books, well, I'll teach them. I know the stories. I know the books. But you can't say you overemphasizing anything. If like I say about Black history, if I can't say you're overemphasizing the Holocaust. The Holocaust wasn't that bad to me. I'm just gonna say it. But do I really believe that? Hell yeah, I believe it was so fucking bad that it was one of the worst things that ever happened in the world. But if you're gonna do me, I'm gonna do you. That's just the way that go. And you know what? I probably get blocked for this or whatever. I don't even care. I don't agree with Israel. I used to until I seen who the president really was. The prime minister really was of Israel. He don't care about stopping the war. He wants an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. Do I agree that there's terrorists in Gaza? Yes, I agree with that 100%. There is definitely a lot of terrorists in Gaza. But is everybody a terrorist? No. Is everybody they kill in Gaza a terrorist? No. So when you just go around just deleting people, I got a problem with that. When you go, okay, you know what? This is what I just. So you're gonna do the same. Israel's doing the same thing that the Nazis did to them. They tried to G-side them, and now you're trying to G-side another population? I guess what goes around comes around with Israel. And if you believe it, and if you're a Christian or anything like that,
type of tragedy or historical,
And if you are a Christian, and this is what the thing is. Let me explain something to you guys about what we're going through right now. This is Trump says America first, but is it really America first? No, because we're jumping and doing what Israel tells us to do. We do exactly what Israel tells us to do. We didn't bomb another country because Israel wanted us to. We're over there depleting army munitions, missiles on account of Israel. And the reason why we're doing this, the reason why Americans and American leaders always bow down to Israel is because of the Christianity. They believe that that's where Jesus is from. They believe if this is where God comes from, my God, then it needs to be protected. But the point is, didn't the Israelis who was there hand him over to Pontius Pilate? And those were the Zionists. So the same people who handed Jesus Christ over to Pontius Pilate were Zionists. Same as Netanyahu. And Zionists really don't believe in Christ at all. You can Google it. They don't believe in Christ. But Americans do. They believe in Christ so much. Well, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. They believe that Christ was God. And if we believe in Christ was God and he come from Israel, we'll protect that holy land at all costs. Israel knows that. But they don't believe in Jesus like we do. And they use that against the American population to control us. Oh, we know they believe in this is where God comes from, so they're going to do whatever they can do to protect us. And all we have to do is say, this is happening, they're going to come running. That's what's happening. These people are sick. And then, like I say, you don't even know how to... Oh, my God. Would I go, as a black man, go see a statue of General Lee? Yeah, I would. I would like to see General Lee on that horse. And I was like, man, he was a bastard. But that's his statue. In the museum, I would go see it. But I wouldn't want it erased. I don't want to erase no history of the United States. Not the Confederate side, not the Union side, not the slavery side, not any of it. It should be, it should be taught and it should be respected.
Way to make it less significant? I mean, some of the worst episodes in our history were formative experiences that led us to where we are today, and those typically are reflected in museums.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery.
So I heard what she said. I was just completely befuddled because I genuinely don't know what that means. I've never heard the word overemphasis following any type of tragedy. I've never heard anyone say, hey, there's an overemphasis of 9/11, all right? I've never heard that. When we go to we have in Los Angeles something known as a Museum of Tolerance. I've never heard anyone describe the Museum of Tolerance as, hey, it's a good museum, but there's an overemphasis on the Holocaust. Have you ever heard?
Are you listening to that? They're saying there's an overemphasis on black history in museums, not out in the public, not in the schools. When you go to a museum, it's just too much black history. It's too much slavery stuff in this museum. I don't like it because it's talking about my people. I don't like you, white man bad. That you making white man bad. White man is not bad. Black man is not bad. Everybody got problems. There is no bad race. There's bad people in every race, but there is no bad race. They're making it seem that there's a bad race.
Experiences that led us to where we are today, and those typically are reflected in museums.
Yeah, I think the fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery.
So I heard what she said. I was just completely befuddled because I genuinely don't know what that means. I've never heard the word overemphasis following any type of tragedy. I've never heard anyone say, hey, there's an overemphasis of 9/11, all right? I've never heard that. When we go to we have in Los Angeles something known as a Museum of Tolerance. I've never heard anyone describe the Museum of Tolerance as, hey, it's a good museum, but there's an overemphasis on the Holocaust. Have you ever heard an overemphasis on the Holocaust? An overemphasis on 9/11? Overemphasis on any type of tragedy or historical, we'll say plague, all right? That's what we'll say, virus, all right, by this lineage of evil. Never. I've never heard that.
When summer heats up, let's
I've never heard it either. Let me get this off of there. I've never heard it either. That's just like saying, like I said, the overemphasis on the Holocaust, overemphasis on anything in history. It's getting repulsive. This MAGA shit and the way they treat other people is repulsive. They treat people like you shouldn't even be on the same planet as these people.
Okay, it's always in relation to our relationship with this country in which they view it as an overemphasis. It goes back to the Paul Mooney joke where it's like nothing can be too white. You'll never hear something say, oh, this is too white, okay? This is too European. But you can damn sure have something be too black. Oh, this is too black. Oh, this is too Negro, all right? That's what they'll do.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And then in another interview, she talks about, well, we can't fully talk about slavery, right, if we don't also talk about hope and progress.
It's all about full context. So while slavery is obviously a horrible aspect of our nation's history, you can't really talk about slavery honestly unless you also talk about hope and progress.
Huh?
I'm like, what on earth is she talking about? And we see that she's completely, there's nothing upstairs. She clearly has a bunch of notes that she's trying to, okay, say this is a key word, okay, this is a trigger word. That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get little trigger words out there. Oh yes, and it's woke and yada yada yada, and it just comes off as stupid. That's,
Let me explain something to you guys. I'm just gonna get rid of that. Let me tell you who Derek is. Derek is a Texan. I'm a Texan, guys. My family has been here in Texas since. I gotta look it up. Because I got a family tree. 1856. My family has been in Texas since 1856. So that means my family who was here were slaves. Some of my family was in Katy, Texas. When General Granger got off the ship in 1865, and he told Texas, the inhabitants are now free. They still live down there in that area. Some of my family still live down there. But Texas continued slavery 2 years after slavery ended. They didn't tell the inhabitants you were free. They say keep working. Keep working. And that's part of my history, my people, my ancestors that was told to keep working, even though they was free. And so when I hear people saying we need to stop talking about slavery or remove slavery monuments in museums, I have a very big problem with that. If you don't like it, like a lot of people was tearing down Confederate statues, did I agree with that? No, I didn't agree with that. Even as a black man, I don't agree with that. Should they be in museums? Yeah, because history, a lot of history is in museums. Should slavery and things of slavery be in museums? Yeah. The Holocaust, the Jews have a Holocaust museum. Everybody has a museum when something terrible has happened to them. It's a museum for everything like that. But just for blacks, it's too much of it. It's too much of it in the museums. It's not telling the story that we want to hear about the greatness of the country. Okay, you can tell both stories, both sides. I just can't believe they're doing this. This is 2 steps back for me. Definitely 2 steps back. From what I'm looking at and what I've read in my family tree, this is definitely 2 steps back. Just get rid of everything that's black. Let's just do that. And that's what they want. Just blatantly, and Trump say the museums of slaves. I mean,
Not gonna change history. I don't like what they're saying.
he says
And that's exactly what Trump is doing.
he says the African American museums. This is what Trump said. The African American museums just teaching about slavery is woke. So is the museum teaching about the atrocities to the Jews? Is that woke too? Is the Holocaust woke? Or is just only what happens to the black people is woke? Do you understand what woke means? If you understand what woke is, not a term that's used lightly. Woke is supposed to be for yeah, they said slavery African museums is woke. So I would guess that the Holocaust Museum would be woke too. And see, they didn't hijack the word woke. Nobody even knows what it means anymore. Woke was a saying that was for African Americans. It means don't be stupid, open your eyes, understand what they're doing to you, be woke. Or being awakened, understood. You're not asleep anymore. You see what's going on in front of you. You're woke. But now that phrase is being hijacked to mean black or some DEI or what? That's not what it means. If you, as a person, you lived your life a certain way and then you say, oh, damn, that's what's really going on, then you would be woke. Because your eyes has opened and now you're awakened to the fact that's what's happening to you. You're woke now. Like I said, it's been hijacked. You can look it up, Google it.
You are receiving this broadcast signal. Been a glorious journey as a work.
It's trash.
Do not feel.
Happy Phillip in New York. Last week on this show, a guest shocked the table by arguing in part that slavery in America can't just be blamed on one race, and that museums put too much focus on the role of white people who participated in that terrible institution. And now tonight, that same argument is being pushed by the President of the United States. Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program...
Did you hear what he said? Everything in the museum is discussed like how bad slavery was.
I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Last week on this show, a guest shocked the table by arguing in part that slavery in America can't just be blamed on one race, and that museums put too much focus on the role of white people who participated in that terrible institution. And now tonight, that same argument is being pushed by the President of the United States. Donald Trump says that one of the reasons for his crackdown on Smithsonian museums is, quote, everything discussed is how bad slavery was. What we try to do on this program is create a platform for discussion and debate that reflects the very real differences that exist in this country. It's what echo chambers in our society fail to do, frankly. But on this topic, it's important to say objectively, slavery was indeed bad. It was evil, the nation's original sin. And it is impossible to understand the true history of this country without fully grappling with slavery's impact. Simply because of their birthplace and the color of their skin, the bodies and spirits of black men, women, and children were exploited for profit and power. They were forced onto ships, bound by shackles and collars that ripped off their skin. One older man described it as iron entering our souls. Some chose to jump into the waters infested with sharks rather than feel that iron. Now, once they arrived on this very soil, they were forced to work by way of the whip, despite being starved, sleep-deprived, threatened, tortured, physically and psychologically. They were auctioned off, humiliated, fearful, and separated from their families and their children. Black women and girls were raped and sexually assaulted. Many were brutally murdered and mutilated. Now, this endured for decades, centuries. And even in the places where slavery was not legal, institutions from our banks to universities were built on enslaved labor in both the North and in the South. And for many of the white Americans who did not personally own slaves, they benefited from a caste system that concentrated wealth and political power in their hands. So, when we acknowledge the existence of black people who operated George Washington's Mount Vernon or the black hands that built the White House, we are acknowledging the existence, the perseverance, and the contributions of the souls that white supremacy sought to erase. Those people built families, they developed a culture, they were the keepers of the faith, cultivators of community. And they are the ones who deserve credit for forcing America to rid itself of the stain of slavery. Now, all of this information, these stories are from the Smithsonian's African American History Museum. And I share this not as a lecture for you, but as a lesson. America, the superpower, is largely possible only because of the superpowers of people who went lifetimes without the same rights of generations who were boosted from their backs. True history should include everything. Yes, the evils and the horrors too. And museums are supposed to be places that protect those stories, the images, the lessons, the very things that inform so much of our current state of our republic, from racism to poverty. No matter how painful, or in the president's words, how horrible the lesson. Now, just listen to one formerly enslaved man describe what slavery is like in his own words.
You know what I'd rather do? If I thought that I'd ever be a slave again, I'd take a gun and just end it all right away. Because you're nothing but a dog.
He said if he was to be a slave again, he would take and end it all because you ain't nothing but a dog.
You're not a thing but a dog.
That's what it took.
We are here in the studio with our panel, Leah Wright-Berger.